jumping straight into it. And people will be starting to come in now. We're just going live on the old Facebook.
Will I go and share this into...
Yeah, man.
I'll find it before we start, Connect...
Everyone's starting to come in. Hey, guys. Say hi if you're coming in. Use the chat. And a lot of people will be doing it and following the Facebook stream. For those of you that want to have a chat and ask questions, you can do in the question and answer. But it's awesome to have you guys with us, and I'm super stoked to have Dave in here in this series. Mate, how are things going? I know you're busy sharing that.
Yeah,
and
one last turn. I'm in there.
It's hard for us blokes to multitask like this. I'm trying to do exactly the same thing at the same time.
It's not what we tell our wives, but.
I just walked past. She's nodding. Mate, so good to have you. There she is.
Thanks
walking past in the background. You're live on TV. You are the best dad ever, mate. Hey, there's going to be a heap of people with a whole different bunch of cross sections of society. Some of them know you as the new Dave Letele. Some of you know you from the JUCO days, and some from beforehand. So I'd love to just get your little 2 to 5 minutes of tell us the story of Dave Letele, because for me, that was one of the things when we first met. It was just one of the most compelling things is how you have created what you've created from where you've come, and hence the no excuses, eh?
Yeah, the no excuses mantra. So anyone who sees that, it's an X for no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Look, about myself, I don't know, an ordinary guy, I guess. I don't know what's happened here. No, decline that. Sorry, people are trying to call me. Sorry, people are trying to call me while I'm put this thing on. Look, I'm just a normal guy. I think I've come through a lot of adversity, but at the time that I was going through it, like a lot of people who go through it at the time, you don't really understand it, and you don't realize that it's not normal, that other kids aren't going through the same stuff you're going through. But look, my father, he was a gang leader. He was a bank robber and a drug grower. I grew up in that environment, but then, I also grew up in an environment of, my grandparents who raised me for a good 6 years, from 5 to 11 when my father was imprisoned. But I never used where I was from as an excuse. I really used it. Again, we talk about role modeling, and I role modeled myself on my uncle, who was the total opposite. He went the total opposite direction to his brothers, my dad and my other uncle. My other uncle was a bank robber as well, but there was one particular uncle called Uncle Ian, or Uncle Ulla, we call him. He actually went the total opposite direction, went to business, done a Bachelor of Commerce, he's got a master's. But he was the boss of duty-free shoppers back in the day, and he was very successful. So I modeled myself on him as a role model. I wanted to not go down the same road as my parents and my other family member, uncle, but study hard and go to uni and do what he done. So I worked really hard and surrounded myself with good people. But at the same time, I saw a lot as a kid. So there was times in my life when things got tough, and I went back to what I saw as a kid of how to get money, and what I saw is robbing and drugs. And I saw a lot, so, and it was always justified for us. They did these things for us. And so when times were tough for me, I did similar things. And I justified it for my children. But again, all it did was take me away from my kids, just like it did my father and my uncle, and I always say when I speak into kids at risk that, crime is often glamorized, and the life of a gangster is glamorized. And, you see, if you can imagine you're a kid and you're poor, and I hated having no money. I hated not having the nice stuff. And when you're in these situations and you're looking around, in the areas that you're in, the only people with money If you can't play sport and you're not good at school, you look around and go, geez, who do I have to aspire to? These drug dealers and gang members, they've got the cars, they've got the girls, they got the jewelry, they got the money. So you see it on music videos and movies and YouTube. So what I try and do is tell people the other side of that coin about everything crime took away from me, you know, and it took a lot. It took away a lot. You know, we used to have warehouse full of cars. But what's the point of these cars? You know, and if one of the warehouses, my cousin, you know, she hung herself in that warehouse that we had all these cars in. So, you know, I come out of that pretty well unscathed. My parents done a good job of keeping me as far away as they could. But, you know, at the same time, I also had my own journey, which it was a tough journey, you know, and I managed to come out of my own stuff, come back here with my tail between my legs in 2014 with nothing, not 1 cent in my pocket, didn't have my children, that was the hardest thing. And what I realized is that we always, even now, even more so now, we're going through this crisis. We're grinding for money. We're worried about money, you know, and the uncertainty. What I learned going through and losing everything and moving back here with nothing was, man, all I really wanted was my kids, you know, and all I really needed was my family. So, of course, we need money to live, but it's not the be all and end all, you know, and until you lose it all, you can't really understand that. So that's what I try and tell. And, you know, when I speak in the corporates, you know, the other spectrum of who I speak to, I say, look, man, it's not just about money. Of course we need it, but there's so much more to life, you know, and that's what I'm hoping, you know, when I'm coming out of this isolation, that we can realize that as well, you know. But that's sort of me in a nutshell, I guess. And now what I do is share my experiences to help, you know, literally thousands of people through our group BBM Motivation, which was started out of the failure that was my life. BBM wouldn't exist if I didn't lose everything and just, you know, wind up back here with nothing, you know. And I started a group just as like a blog, I guess, and then it's turned into a support group where it's not reliant on me. You know, it started with me, yes, but now we've got so many amazing team leaders that are all been through the journey. We've got amazing members. We all share, and we share positivity. And the group really comes alive when someone posts up saying they're not doing too well. You know, that's when it comes alive. So you'll see all the same sort of people posting stuff, but then as soon as someone posts something that they're not doing well, you'll see all these different members, all these different people that never normally post or comment just come out just to support. And that's what it's about. You know, it's a support group, not a weight loss group.
My mantra with Connector is we build the community. The community supports the business.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Tell me about, you know, just before you got into this, you did some work with Dean and the team at Duco, and you got to get on the card with Joseph Parker and things like that. And for me, that was my first introduction to you, and I think that seeing that transformation as you went from this persona that came across as a, you know, bit of a hard ass, brash, loudmouth act. But for me, it just really looked like the start. You know, I won't say the start. It was the start for me of seeing you transform into what you really are.
Yeah, that whole boxing debacle. Look, it was a circus act, but I had to do it. You know, it was my way of. So the story was, Dave Higgins offered me. You know, he got me back here, and he was a big part of my life, and we've been friends for a long time. He brought me back here, and then one day he just said, "Look, why don't we throw you on a boxing card, just as a way to motivate you to try and to lose some weight." But it was when I was in Germany. He took me to Germany because I was very depressed. So Dave was very worried about me. I wanted to kill myself every day. That's how bad I wanted to drive into a pole every single day. I just hated my life. But what kept me going was my children and exercising. When I exercised, I forgot how crap my life was. But he took me over to Germany and he said, well, you better train hard because I'm not paying for you business class, because I couldn't fit in economy. So I started walking twice a day and I got over there anyway. We're at Joseph's weigh-in. And at the weigh-in, the head of German boxing, they'd never seen such a large tattooed Islander before with a shaved head. And they wanted to see how much I weighed. So they dragged me through this audience like I was an elephant, you know, by the trunk. And they chucked me on the scale. And I wanted to see what I weighed too, because every time I jumped on a scale back home, it always said error. So I didn't really have any idea what I weighed. So jumped on the scale and I was 178 kilos. And I was over the moon. I was so happy. And I just did, you know, I was smiling and I said, I'm the man. I'll take on anyone. Everything you see on YouTube, just playing it up, just having fun while I was at this weigh-in. And that's when Dave said, man, that's what you're going to do when we go back home. You're going to play that character. You're going to be a real arrogant, just say whatever you want, talk about yourself only in the third person, and just be a larger than life bad guy, like a wrestling heel. And a guy called Craig Stanaway worked for Dave, and he was a massive wrestling fan. So we just ran for it. And all I said was, how much am I going to get paid? Because I had no job. I was not getting any money. And it wasn't much, but it was enough, you know, just to do, you know. By this time, I was living in a community home. I was staying in a community home with people just released out of prison. So I was staying there on a mattress on the floor. And I came back and we did a weigh-in, Joe's press conference, Joe Parker versus Brian Minto. I jumped on the scale and it said error again. Everyone laughed at me. That's what I was there for. It was a circus act. Everyone laughed at me and I jumped on and I said, I'm the toughest man in New Zealand. I'll take on anyone. No one in New Zealand can beat me, let alone South Auckland, because Joe was fighting in South Auckland. So I had to call out South Auckland of all areas. And yeah. And then, you know, the crowd goes wild, played that piece and people went nuts. Who was this fat bastard calling out the whole of New Zealand, you know? And people couldn't understand it was a joke. For me, I was mucking around, but they bought into it. And the amount of hate I got was crazy. You know, I was getting death threats, you know, daily. People would say they'll shoot me on sight. You know, the worst one I ever got was someone said they'll send me rope to hang my family. So I'm getting all of these hate mail every single day, getting all this hate mail. All the while, I was depressed. You know, I was very depressed at this time, getting hate mail. But I talk about it often with BBM and finding your why. You know, for me, my why was my children. And it kept me going, you know. And each fight I was on, I kept losing weight. But I was still doing, if I go back far enough and look at some of the antics I do, it was just really cringeworthy, you know. And no one was really doing it in New Zealand at the time to what I was doing. But, you know, it got pretty bad. I'd go out and people would throw drinks at me and, you know, slap me in the face. It was pretty out there. So I just stopped going out, you know. But I kept losing weight every fight. And that's how I started BBM. So amongst all the hate mail I was getting messages like, man, how are you doing this? What's the secret? We all want to know what the bloody secret is, you know. There's no secret. So stop eating rubbish and go for a walk, you know. So, and that's where I started the group, you know, as a place where I could be myself, because everywhere else I wasn't being myself. I was playing this character, you know, and I was playing the character to the nth degree, you know. I played it up, you know. I was just living it.
No, and I really appreciate you sharing that, because it is a bit of you know, there's these mixed emotions there, and it's a bit of a shitty time, and you might look back at it and go, what the heck was I doing? You know, being like that and pushing that out there. But it's actually, it's not that much different than what a lot of us do in real life, right? You know, we've got that job, we've got to put on that mask, we hide who we really are and how we're really feeling. And you know, depression and anxiety and all of that stuff that comes with it. All you're doing was amplifying that in a larger than life persona. But the reality is people all over New Zealand are facing the same demons and doing the same thing, just so that they can carry on and have this outward facing life of this is what my life is really like. And I think that's amazing and it's brilliant that, you know, that is part of your origin story, because without going through that, you probably wouldn't have started that group, and you wouldn't have had those people asking those questions. How are you doing it? And you wouldn't have had those things every couple of months to work towards, to drop that weight to that next fight.
Yeah, man, you're right. You know, a lot of the times we're playing characters, and who we are on the outside world is different to who we are inside, you know. But, you know, we're just doing the best we can, you know, and just staying focused. And if I hadn't gone through all of that, I wouldn't be where I am now. Just, Glenn, just give me 1 second. I got to arrange someone to change my son.
You do that.
Kavita.
So one of the other things that I love about Dave is it's not just about him, but it's definitely not about him. In fact, most of it isn't about him at all. It's actually about the community, and the kids is a massive part of that. So for those of you that aren't really familiar with the BBM movement, they're doing free boot camps all over Auckland. They got up to, I think it's like, you're up to 2,000 people attending these things a week a lot of the time. And, you know, if people can afford a gold coin donation, they do it. But it's out there, and it's out there for people to attend.
No, it's all free, man. It's all free.
You used to do gold coins, eh?
Free.
All free.
Yeah.
And, man, and you're doing it for the people. And I put a little thing in that LinkedIn post earlier on around the DHBs. You know, the thing that really gets me is what you are doing to the thousands of people's lives is you're actually making a real difference. Or actually, I'll change that. Sorry. You're enabling them to make a real difference in their own lives. And that's what works. And the stories that I've seen in those discussions that we've had over the years, you know, when we had a chat a couple of years ago, and we were talking about, you know, people with diabetes that, not anymore. We're not being burdens on the health system. I'm not creating all of these problems, not just for me, but for my family. How much funding do you get from DHBs?
Well, look,
or do you get funding from it? I won't say how much. I say, do you get funding from DHBs?
At present,
and I don't think
no. There was. Look, I'll take us back a bit. It's been a struggle. We do everything for free. We have done for the 5 years that we've been going, and we always did it just to. My purpose is to serve people and help people. And I've always believed that when you do that, you know, the blessings will come back, and they have started to come back. You know, we've only 3 years ago, we didn't have my fourth son, but me, my partner, and my 3 kids were living in a sleep out with no kitchen. I was only here 3 years ago. We're doing a lot better now, you know, but in terms of the whole funding thing, now the funding business, when you're
business.
Yeah, when you're in there, man, it was a real eye opener. So here I am, I'm just a guy just trying to help, and I was helping a lot of people. We are helping a lot of people. We were just doing it in fields, in school halls, wherever we could, car parks, getting, you know, hundreds and thousands of people a week to these free sessions. When I finished boxing, because look, I didn't want to keep getting punched in the head for a living, and I wasn't that good at boxing, you know. So
better than most.
Yeah. So I was I started an online business in terms of selling my meal plans and my fitness programs, very cheap. And that was how I was funding all of our free work we were doing. And that came about through a company called Macroactive, who really helped me out. So they didn't, again, as a good guy, and he came to me and he said, look, Dave, you're getting punched in the head a lot, and I don't see much of a future for you in there. I said, no, you're right. I do tend to block with my face a lot. So, you know, and they helped me out to do this online program. So that was what was feeding my family and enabling me to earn a decent living from. But to grow BBM, we'd needed funding, you know, and I go to different meetings in the early days with different agencies, and they'd say to me, where's your data? Everyone wants to see data. And I said to them, well, you know, naively, I said, well, do you not follow me on Facebook? There's my data, you know. Have you seen all my before and afters, you know? So, So what I realized through frustration was that I needed data, and I needed people around me and the infrastructure. Because when I'm going to meetings and I like to any DHB or health sector, they look at me, and this is my opinion on what happened. They'd look at me and they'd think, okay, here's a brown guy training other overweight brown guys in a field somewhere. He's not going to last. He'll fizzle out just like any other exercise program. And what they need to understand is that we're so much more than exercise. Yep. Exercise is our vehicle, but what we've built is a community where people belong. It's positive. We talk about nutrition and mindset, and we get them surrounded by good people. And so now I've got my uncle Ulla, who was that uncle I told you about. He was actually, and the funny story with him is he was the CEO of Restaurant Brands up until last year. Yep. and the KFC, Pizza Hut, and all these guys that I'm always getting on, he's seen the light, and now he's come and work. He's working for us, so he's helping me to steer the ship. And then I've got 3 full-time employees now, who now I've got infrastructure around me. So when people look at our organization, they say, "Yep, here's this guy. He's a bit of a disruptor, and he says what he feels, but he's also got a team around him, a very professional team. So they have a bit more confidence." Now, when we first started getting some funding, it came about through Counties Manukau Sport. And then, really serious ones we got was from Hugh Green Foundation, the great people, the Lion Foundation. Who was the other one? Sky City, and also One Foundation. Now, all of these people that have started to support us come about through my connections, just people I've met along the way. And that's what you need. And that's the hard thing for other groups that are out there that might not have these connections, that don't last because they need money and they can't get it because it's so hard to so a lot of the times it's about who can fill in the best application forms, who can devote a worker to just apply for funding all day, Yep. And then we just recently, we're working on something with the Counties Manukau DHB. It's not been announced yet, but we're working on something as a collaboration, which we're going to have the opportunity to revolutionize the way the health system works for our people in our areas. We want to be the cornerstone of health for not just our people, but all people. Obesity is not just a Māori PI problem, it's a New Zealand problem. We're the 3rd most obese nation in the OECD. The problem is that Māori and PI are overrepresented in all of the bad stats, but we're only minorities in this country. So we're going to turn that around, and it all starts with up here, changing the way we think, the mindset, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Sky City, tell me about how the hell did you end up start working with Rob Campbell?
Rob Campbell was one of my very good friends now. I was at a charity fundraiser for a company called My River, a mental health app, really good guys. And I was there to speak, and Kevin Mealamu was also talking. So I got there, Kevin was talking to Rob, had no idea who Rob was, but he was talking to Rob, but I wanted a photo with Kevin. So went up, asked Kevin for a selfie. After Kevin left, we got our photo, and then Rob said to me, "Oh man, my wife's really worried about my health." I said, "Well, you should put down the sausage roll and the wine, and we'll start tomorrow." And we did. We started the next day. I had no idea he'd turn up. It was 7 a.m. at the Sky City Grand. We were meeting. Didn't think he'd turn up because he's quite drunk. But he hasn't had a drink since. That first day we went for a walk up Liverpool Street, which is one of the steepest streets in Auckland. That was our first session. Now that he's lost over 30 kilos, he's never been in better health. And we've just
smashing out the stairs up Mount Eden.
We just become really good friends. There's me, him, and another guy called Luke, and who's lost 80 kilos, and Phil, who's lost almost 150. We just started training together, and just getting, being around good people, and it's funny with Rob because I wasn't going to charge him anything, because it's always me. I just give stuff, and he goes, "How much for this?" I said, "Don't worry, bro. It's all good. I'll just help you out, man. That's us." And he said, "No. So I had no idea who he was. He said, "Oh, this is what we do." And I went, "All right. Well, in that case, anything you can." But he's been an amazing person to get to know, a great friend, and he's been very influential. He's one of my, with him and my uncle, they're both my advisors. He's the chairman of our charitable trust, amongst a lot of other boards that he's on, but he's giving back, and it's really doing good for Rob because it's connected him back with the community and the people. Because he's working out with the everyday folk and people that are struggling, and he's got the boardroom, and then he's got hanging out with us, and he's really in touch now with grassroots.
Oh, and look, from an outsider's view looking in, Rob used to come across as really, really gruff, really elitist, and really, all like that. And since he started working with you and the changes he's made in himself, it is so clear that he's, made that connection, and he's humanized himself so much more. And I don't know whether, that's from the outside looking in, and we see him from a more of a media perspective and the way that he talks and things like that. But for me, that's just another cool story. And it's not, like you said before, it's not just a brown boy working in the fields with a bunch of overweight South Aucklanders. It's stuff that works for everybody. Yep.
The principles of what we teach works for everyone. And it worked for Rob really well. He's doing, he's an inspiration to me, and he's done so well. This guy's 69 years old, and we started training for a half marathon. And we're jogging up a hill, and someone's fit when they can talk and hold a full conversation with you while you go. And that's Rob. We're jogging up this hill. He's talking to me the whole way, and I'm just giving him one-word answers. Yep, okay, bro. So it's a cool story.
That's brilliant, man. And what's next for BBM?
What's next for BBM? We're going to be everywhere. We're going to be the cornerstone of health, because the problem with the health sector at the moment is the bureaucracy and the red tape. I call it bureaucrat. And there's so much of it, and I can't stand it. This does my head in. So I'm thankful. I don't go to a lot of meetings now because I'll ruin it for us. So I let my uncle and the team go because they can deal better with bureaucracy. You'll go to a health meeting. You go to a meeting about health, and you're sitting around this table with other health professionals, and not one of these guys is healthy, and then here we are talking about health. They're telling me about health. And the problem is with us, and one of the reasons why I believe that it's taken us so long to start getting some funding is because when you go to these gatekeepers that control the funding, especially for the PI side of it, we embarrass them. We embarrass them because we walk the talk. We don't just talk about it and do nothing and sit around a table and have type 2 diabetes. Whatever we say, we do. We're not perfect, and we never talk about being perfect. And I love peanut slabs, so I'm not talking about having a six-pack. What I'm talking about is at least being on your health journey. So if you can't make decisions about other people's health if you're not even trying to be healthy yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So what we want to do is we lead by example, and that's when we get embedded into the system. And that's what we're trying to do, just be a fabric of the system that we can change all that. There's a lot of people that need to go, just need to get out of here, because they're just there for the money. They're not there to really make a difference. They might have started off that way, but they've totally lost touch. They don't live they don't lead by example. They just go to meetings all day and eat rubbish and talk, and all the money gets sucked up the top. By the time it's down the bottom, there's nothing left. You're all fighting over scraps. I'm never going to be a beggar fighting for scraps. I'd rather just still have my dignity and continue to do what we do, lead by example, and the blessings will come. And look, one of the big things for us in terms of funding was signing with Alliance Health Plus, who have been amazing. They're a PHO. Wayne and Ulu's the chairman. Wayne's the CEO. Great people. And they're people who lead by example. And when they saw us, LinkedIn, I just started using LinkedIn. I'm really enjoying it. And I saw Ulu on LinkedIn, connected with him. We met less than a week later, we signed with them, and they were supporting us. So
that's amazing.
And this world of health, that's very rare, because I've gone to meetings with other PHOs where you'll meet them and you don't hear not even an email to say, look, this is what we're doing for a year. Nothing.
Yep.
You know, so it's very rare when you meet, as you would know, in any business world, it's very rare to meet people that say what they do what they say, you know. So we're lucky with Alliance Health Plus, good people.
So you're going to stay south and west, or are you going to look at opening up BBMs in other communities of need?
Yeah, BBM needs to be everywhere, man. It's such a, it's not the exercise again, it's just the culture that we've provided.
Totally.
So we've just, we're developing a course that's going to be NZQA approved to certify other team leaders. So, you know, our team leaders, it's not, you know, it's very unique because a personal trainer is 1-to-1. What we do might be 2 to 100, you know. The biggest boot camp I've taken personally myself is 200 people, you know, of all varying fitness levels. And then we have other regulars and team leaders that are in there. It's very rare what we do. So we want to certify other people to do what we do and make sure that they have bought into the culture. That's the hard thing for us is going to be making sure that the people that we do bring on have bought into the culture. And because if they're not here and we can't just go and see one of their boot camps, that's the hard part, you know. So we're, you know, with my uncle's background with, you know, restaurant brands, we're looking at franchising models and all this type of stuff, but very hard to franchise when we make no money. So for us to close our HQ, for me, it wasn't a hard decision because I'm not thinking about money. I was just thinking about what's best for my people, because we make no money off our members that come. So we got our 700 square meter headquarters, costs a lot of money. Thanks to Hugh Green and Lime Foundation and One Foundation to help us pay for this thing. It costs a lot of money. So when other personal trainers might come in and say, oh, Dave, we want to see what you do, because they see us online, they go, man, this guy must be killing it. We want to see what he's doing. They come in for a meeting at headquarters, they see massive amounts of people. And I said, you see all those people in there? And they go, yep. I said, we make not 1 cent off them. This is purely to help. That's all we're doing this for. And they can't understand it, you know? So we just got to keep moving, man. It will be everywhere very, very soon.
Do you think
within the next 5 years.
Do you think that's one of the problems with the health and fitness industry is it's too much about me and not enough about them?
Yeah, the problem about, you know, see, for me, I'm not in the fitness sector. I'm in the health sector.
No. Mental fitness, right?
Yeah. The problem I'm seeing is that everyone's in competition. So we do a boot camp at Eden Park every year, the world's biggest boot camp. And to me, all the gyms and everyone should come together and just for one day only be about just getting people active and moving, and nothing about memberships, nothing about money, you know. And it's very hard to, there's the only gyms, the 2 gyms that really came together was Body Talk, where I go to, been there for a long time, and also where I started Habitat for Fitness, and a couple of F45s where we knew the lady that runs them. So everyone's in competition, same with the health sector, everyone's competing for money. So when I went to the first ever meeting I went to for a DHB meeting, where it was a contract up for tender, I walked in there and I'm the only one who said hello. No one else was talking to each other. No one was saying hello, because they're all there. You're all competition. This is a massive, it's the first time of me being exposed to this. No one's talking to each other and no one's talking about the people that we're supposed to be helping. So I'm in there and my uncle's writing notes, and it's not notes of what people are saying. It's notes to me saying, be quiet, don't say anything, you know, don't say anything, just listen. But I couldn't. I got up and I said something, you know, because I believe I speak for the people. And I got up and I said, I'm sitting here and all I'm listening to is people talk about data and money. No one has brought up the people that we're supposed to help. So I'm going to tell you a story about the people. And I was told them about a lady who's an obese lady who we're still friends with, still trying to help. Her daughter was in Starship Hospital with an incurable disease, okay? She'll ring me or message me with, and this happens all the time. People will ring me and message, we've got no money for food. What do we do? You know? So what would you do when I'm putting this to the people that are in that meeting? What would you do if that happened? They have no idea about the obstacles that the people face living, not just week to week. We're talking day to day, you know?
Yeah.
And especially now, we just went shopping. We got 4 kids. It costs $600 for shopping, you know, and we weren't not extravagant. How's the everyday person going to do that? You know, the amount of food parcels we're organizing, and thank goodness there's so many other good people and good organizations out there that are doing their best, but they're doing it with not much support.
Yeah, man. Hey, I've got a question here from Taumeka. How far do you take it with your leading by example things in regards to alcohol, sugar, gluten, dairy, starchy carbs, or do you just manage them all as food groups and minimize what you're sort of taking?
Look, what we try and do is we just talk about a healthy lifestyle. So again, I'm not, if someone wants to come to me and say, Dave, I want a 6-pack and I just want to be totally ripped. And I say, well, I probably can't help you with that because I've never been that way myself. Well, no, I've been close, but what we talk about is living a healthy lifestyle, a lifestyle that, to me, it's a lifestyle that you can maintain, you know. Has to be a lifestyle that you can maintain. So you can't live with, for me, I'm not going to deprive myself, and I wouldn't expect anyone else to deprive themselves out of nice food every now and then. So we always say it's fine to treat yourself, but treat yourself once a week, maybe twice. But if you treat yourself every day, it's no longer a treat, it's just the way you eat. So that's very important. If you are treating yourself every day, it's not a treat, it's the way you eat. I met a guy in Dannyburg and I talked to him at the gas station. He asked me for some advice and I talked to him about that. And he said, oh yeah, true. It's not a treat, eh? It's just breakfast. I went, yeah. So
it's me and my petrol station pies, man.
Yeah. I don't really talk about calorie counting or anything like that. But then there's a group that we work with called From the Couch, and I'm a bit stricter with them. But again, I don't give them recipes. I say, this is the way you can eat. These are the foods you can eat. And it's really just the way we're supposed to eat. Meat and a whole heap of veggies or salad and a little bit of carbs. That's how we're supposed to eat anyway. You know, eating regular and making sure we drink water. I don't drink. And the reason I don't drink is because I was an idiot when I drank. So, you know, that was my choice. I stopped drinking. And as far as how far do I take leading by example, I take leading by example very serious but I also be very real about it because I'm not perfect, you know. So, but I own it. If I'm having a bad day and if I've eaten something I shouldn't have, or if I'm just feeling down in the dumps, because I get depressed a lot. It never really goes away, you know. Some days are just better than the other. I talk about it. I talk about it quite openly with our group. But leading by example to me is making sure that you're doing the best you can, and don't ask someone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself or that you're not doing yourself.
Yeah, mate, I think you couldn't have answered that better, because I'm of the thought that a lot of the time, if you come up with this, you know, this perfect plan that they have to stick to, that's, you know, calorie counting this and calorie counting that, the vast majority of people that really need it are not going to be able to stick to it, and they'll fall off and they won't get back on.
Yeah, 100%, man. And you know what we're trying to get out of this bloody light, I'll make sure I don't do it here again. What we try and work on, look, is mainly mindset. You know, with anyone, yeah, it's nutrition. It's the biggest part is nutrition, but we focus on the mindset around nutrition. And one of the main things we always talk about is having a very strong why. If your why is strong, you'll do anything. You can get through anything. And my why was my children. It was always my children. Now it's my children, my family, and my group, you know, to lead by example and to show them what's possible. Now, your why won't always work and won't always stop you from doing something you're not supposed to, but it should always get you back on the wagon. See, in the past with so many people, they fall off and they stay off. You know, it's happened to all of us. We do well. This is the cycle that I see all the time. This is the cycle here. We'll do well for 2 weeks, maybe a month. Might lose 10, 15 kilos. These are some of the bigger guys that we work with. Something in life will happen. They fall off the wagon, okay? They stay off. So if they lost 10 kilos in that month, then they're off for 6 weeks or however long. They put on 15 kilos. They feel bad again. They feel, oh man, I've just got to start. So they restart, right? They come back. They do well. They lose 10 kilos again. But they didn't lose the extra 5 kilos that they put on. So something in life happens again. They stop, they fall off, they stop, They put on another 15 kilos. So they're always just putting on more weight, still just only losing that same 10 kilos. But every time they stop, they put on more. And so that's the cycle. So what we try and do is break that cycle. The way you break it is by getting into the mindset around it, making sure you say, look, it's fine to fall off. Everyone does. People fall off and feel bad. So you fall off, go, oh, fuck it, you know what I mean? You fall off, you go, oh, stuff it. That's it. Here we go again, and I'll just go, it's not worth it. Who cares? What we try and say is own it. We all fall off. Don't worry about it. You fall off the wagon. Don't let the wagon get too far away. Jump straight back on. That's having a very strong why. When you fall off, think about why you're doing this, why you have to, why you must. Visualize it. Write down your why. Put it all over your house. When you fall off, have a bad day, look at it. Okay, I remember now,
Right. I love that. Hey, look, I'm going to let you get back on with your family, get back on with your day. It has been awesome having you on. Every time we talk, I come away energized, inspired, and just raring to give back to my community as well. And my commitment to you is let's catch up afterwards. And when we get through this and the world's biggest boot camp's back on, and it will, my mission is going to be around getting more gyms involved for you.
Awesome. Sounds good, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you for the support.
You'll always have it. Keep up the great work, mate. Love what you do.
No excuses. No excuses, team.
Still got my T-shirt. Still got my T-shirt.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one. Wear it with pride. You're a fully patched member.
Will do. Cheers, brother.
Yeah, Kareem.
Have a great one. Really appreciate it.